What if humanity wasn't the first advanced civilization on Earth? What if thousands of years before our history even began, before the pyramids, before ancient Mesopotamia, before the first written language, there existed a super-civilization so powerful, so enlightened, so technologically sophisticated that we still haven't managed to catch up? This is the story of Atlantis. Not the cartoon version, not the fantasy, but the version whispered by ancient scholars, by explorers, by historians, and even by modern scientists who never speak publicly about what they've seen underwater. Plato described Atlantis more than 300 years ago. But here's what most people don't know. He wasn't claiming to invent it. He said he heard the story from Solon, one of Greece's greatest lawmakers. And Solon heard it from Egyptian priests, who said their ancestors recorded the downfall of a powerful kingdom that existed 9,000 years before Solon was even born. That means Atlantis would have existed roughly 11,600 years ago. And guess what else happened around 11,600 years ago? Massive sea level rise, violent global flooding, extreme climate instability. Entire coastlines disappeared underwater. So when the Egyptians told Solon that a mighty island empire beyond the Pillars of Hercules drowned in a single night of earthquakes and floods, it wasn't a random myth. It matched real geological events. Now imagine it. A city shaped in perfect concentric rings, alternating circles of land and water. Architecture aligned with astronomical precision. Buildings constructed with materials that looked like metal fused with stone. A central tower whose top glowed like fire. Many believe that Atlantis wasn't just a city. It was the beating heart of a global civilization, connected through ocean routes, knowledge exchanges, and technologies we still consider impossible today. And the scariest question isn't, was Atlantis real? The scariest question is, what happened to a civilization that powerful? And why didn't their technology save them? Let's dive deeper into what Atlantis might have actually been capable of, because ancient descriptions of their technology don't read like primitive myths. They read like highly advanced engineering logs. Energy, that's where everything begins. Atlantis was said to use a central power crystal, not in a fantasy sense, but as a massive conductor of Earth's natural electromagnetic fields. Today, we know that crystal lattices, especially quartz, can store and transmit energy with insane efficiency. Modern computers rely on silicon crystals. Radios, watches, and satellites rely on quartz tuning. So imagine an entire city built around a giant energy-reactive structure. Some divers near the Bermuda Triangle have reported finding enormous pyramid-like shapes made of a smooth glass-like material, structures that reflect sonar in unnatural ways. Nobody knows what they are, but if they're artificial, they match exactly what ancient texts describe: transport technology. Some researchers believe Atlanteans mastered resonance-based levitation. Think about this. We already use magnetic levitation for trains. We know certain frequencies can cause objects to float. What if Atlantis discovered this thousands of years ago? There are ancient carvings from Egypt and India showing what look like aircraft. Not mythological birds, but structured machines with pilots inside. Some inscriptions even describe them as vehicles that moved without wind, powered by the energy of the heavens. Medicine. This might be the most shocking part. Atlanteans were said to heal using sound frequencies, crystal resonance, and plant-based compounds so potent that wounds could close in minutes. Their knowledge of human anatomy was supposedly extraordinary, far beyond anything surrounding cultures had. In South America, tribes still tell stories of pale visitors from the sea, who taught them how to treat infections with specific plants only found deep in the Amazon. How would ocean travelers know rainforest medicine unless they came from a world-spanning culture? Astronomy. This is where everything gets even stranger. The Dogon tribe in Mali somehow knew the orbit, density, and rotation of Sirius B, an invisible star only discovered by telescopes in the 19th century. They claim their ancestors learned it from the people who survived the water destruction. The Mayans built calendars more accurate than some modern systems. Egyptian pyramids align perfectly with Orion's belt, alignment requiring advanced sky measurements. Many civilizations say the same thing. We were taught by visitors from a sinking land. Coincidence? Or evidence of travelers escaping Atlantis with whatever knowledge they could carry? And here's the darkest truth. Technological greatness doesn't protect a civilization from collapse. Sometimes, it accelerates it. The Atlanteans were noble and wise. They valued virtue over wealth. They were a peaceful, enlightened society, but slowly, something changed. The divine nature within them weakened. Human greed and ambition took over. They became intoxicated with power. Plato describes them as becoming filled with unrighteous avarice and power. Think about what that means in a society with near-limitless technology. It means genetic engineering used not for healing, but for creating a master race or biological weapons. It means energy technology used not for power, but for war. It means knowledge used not for enlightenment, but for control. Ancient texts from India describe terrible wars fought with celestial weapons that could burn entire cities and poison the earth for generations. Sound familiar? It's a perfect description of nuclear fallout, written thousands of years ago. Did the Atlanteans turn their own energy source into a weapon of mass destruction? Some theories suggest Atlantis didn't just fall. It was destroyed in a civil war. A faction that wanted to preserve the old ways versus a new generation that wanted to use their power to conquer the world. They may have destroyed each other before nature even had a chance. Another theory is even more chilling. What if their central power crystal, the heart of their civilization, became unstable? Imagine a city-sized particle accelerator overloading. The geological devastation would be biblical. Earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, all triggered by a single technological failure. They had the power to change the world. They had the knowledge to predict celestial events. They had everything they needed to survive. But they were so arrogant, so convinced of their own superiority that they believed they were gods. They challenged nature. They tried to conquer the heavens. And in doing so, they signed their own death warrant. Their end wasn't a random accident, it was a consequence. The result of a civilization that became too powerful for its own wisdom. And that brings us to the final terrifying question. The one that has nothing to do with the past and everything to do with today. The story of Atlantis isn't really about a lost island. It's about a pattern, a cycle, a warning that echoes through time. Because when you strip away the myth, the final chapter of their story looks terrifyingly familiar. They had a central power source of unimaginable energy. We have nuclear reactors capable of both powering our world and poisoning it for millennia. They learned to manipulate the building blocks of life, believing they could perfect nature. We call it genetic engineering and CRISPR, standing on the same ethical cliff edge. They turned their technology into weapons, confident in their military might. We build autonomous drones and hypersonic missiles, creating a world where war can be waged at the push of a button, without a human in the loop. Plato said their downfall was greed, arrogance, and a spiritual decay that made them forget their connection to the larger world. Look at our civilization. Divided by politics, obsessed with fame, burning through our planet's resources as if there's no tomorrow, all while ignoring the clear signs of environmental collapse. The same earthquakes and floods that drowned them are happening right now. Is it possible that the survivors of Atlantis didn't just vanish? That they spread out across the globe, forever marked by their catastrophe? Maybe they are the ones who taught the Egyptians astronomy, who told the Dogon about the stars, who left behind warnings in stone that we are only just beginning to understand. The story was never a fairy tale. It was a memory. The ultimate question is not whether Atlantis existed. The ultimate question is, are we Atlantis? Are we, right now, living in the final, arrogant, brilliant moments just before the fall? Subscribe for more interesting videos.